Here today with Blake Ware of your hometown Dayton Broncos. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing great. Doing great. Great day to be a Bronco.
Now, you've been through three football seasons there as a head coach. Uh, 2-18 in the first year, and then first 2 years, and then last year 7-4 in the playoffs. First time since 2015, best record since 2015. Talk a little about what that meant to your community and your program, being successful in the football field.
It was exciting. The coaches that I retained on the staff when I got here, they would talk a lot about when Dayton was doing Dayton, when they were winning a lot, and how packed our stadium would be for games. And the first couple of years I was here, we were rebuilding, we were trying to climb, and so I didn't really witness that. And then second quarter of our fourth game, I turned around to talk to one of our coaches, and it kind of caught my eye, and I looked up, and our bleachers, which are, if you've never been to our stadium, our home side is huge. It's really tall, and we were packed all the way to the top. And so I looked over at that coach, and I said, "Is that what you've been talking about?" And he looked up, and he goes, "Yep, that's it." And so, Dayton, Texas loves the Broncos, man, and they have an expectation. And what I love is the process that we've been going through to give this community what they deserve, and that's a winner. We're not there yet. I tell people all the time, we're still broke. We still got a lot of things to fix. We're trying to truly get to a place where we are 100% in the area of kids understanding what it means to put others first. We are 100% in with our kids with regards to them encouraging each other's success, rooting for each other to do well. We're not there yet. We still have to work through kids that they need to be better in the classroom. They need to be better with regards to respect to others. They need to be better at being coachable, at being held accountable. We're never probably going to be perfect in those areas, but we've got to close the gap. And I think that our kids are bought into that concept of truly having a servant's heart, truly understanding that it's not about me, it's about us. Truly understanding that they are getting things by playing football in Dayton, Texas, that's going to help them when they're 35 years old. It's giving them reps at understanding how to respond to failure. And so, those are the kind of things we talk to them daily about. And, this turn that we've had, it's great. But, when you do that, the expectations go up, and, that monster wants to be fed. And so as we approach the 2023 season, the fun part for me as a coach, and it's always been this way, is from the time the previous season ends to the opening kickoff. That's my fun part. That's putting the puzzle together. That is figuring out that this kid can do this and this kid can do that. Finding out about kids that we didn't even have in the equation that are now a big part of the equation. That's the fun part for me. The game nights, that's not very fun for me. I enjoy the preparation for that. And I think that our kids are really understanding that there's a process that requires patience. And so that's what we're in right now. We're in a phase right now in our off season where we're doing football every day during the period. We don't do spring football. We're doing football every day during the period, and we're lifting after school. Well, there's got to be a commitment to the concept of lifting after school. And we have a really, really good commitment to that. And, so we're about to move into the process of the phase where we're going to be playing some 7-on-7. We host a couple of tournaments the next 2 weekends, May 6th and May 13th, and then that'll start riding us into the summer. and then we start the summer workout phase. And we tell our kids all the time that every day is tied into the next day, so every day is important. And so we're excited. There's going to be some challenges for next year. We got a lot of young kids that are going to have to play some key spots. But I feel good about the progress they've made so far. And I feel really good about our senior leadership that we're going to have next year.
Now, just to follow up on a couple of things you mentioned there. Talk a little bit about 707. So that's not something you generally in the past would have associated with Dayton, but something you're obviously committed to. Last year you started hosting tournaments. You have your kids playing on 7-7. So kind of give us an overview of why that's important and what that gives you.
Well, to me, and I've been like this throughout my career, we use that as getting reps for us. We don't run a 7-on-7 offense or defense. We run our offense, we run our defense. And there's something to be said for a quarterback that's going to get a ton of reps reading corners or reading safeties or reading outside linebackers, seeing how coverages spin post-snap. There's something to be said for a receiver that's basically it's conditioning. He's running routes constantly. And so the smoothness of that, the timing of that, the confidence that's built from that, and then flip it to the defense. The defense that we run is really not built to play 7-on-7, but we do because our corners and our safeties are going to get a lot of work working together, covering different concepts, and that's the other part that I love about it is you don't see the same thing. Every team is going to have a different strength, a different weakness, and a different way of running concepts. So I have a lot of buddies that argue with me all the time about 7-on-7, and we host 3 tournaments here. We're going to host the GHFCA tournament next Saturday. That's a fundraiser for our Coaches Association in the Greater Houston area. The weekend after that, we're hosting a tune-up tournament. And then in June, on June 10th, we host a state qualifier. And then we'll host a Tuesday night league for the varsity in June and a Thursday night league for the JV and freshmen. And we host everything because I don't want to ask our kids and our parents to have to go anywhere else. We'll just do it right here in Dayton. And so it keeps it simple for them and easy for them. And we're getting a lot of work. And so, I think that doing that, you're stealing reps. You're stealing reps, and the kids are competing, and so to me it's very, very valuable to that process I was talking about of going through these different phases of off season that leads you into August.
Now, you also talked about where you stand in the spring. Of course, a school like Dayton, where you're one school town, you're going to have a lot of kids that play every sport. Beyond just, you're getting them in their athletics period and you're seeing, but based on the other sports and based on what you're seeing in your athletic period, who's a player or a couple of players maybe that are standing out that maybe didn't play a major role last year, that they're putting in the work and the effort and progressing right now?
There's several. Robbie Kiesling is going to be one of our running backs next year. He was a sophomore last year. He'll be a junior. He was in a backup role this past season, but he has got a high end upside. He's very speedy, smooth when he runs the ball. He's got a low pad level. So we're looking for him to do some things in our running game. Obviously when you come off season that we had last year where our running back was the offensive MVP for the district and Vernon Harrison, it's hard to replace someone like that. But I think Robbie and a couple other kids are going to be able to fill that role and do a good job for us. I mentioned earlier that we're going to have some young kids. We very well could have a sophomore quarterback, but I'm really excited about the tools that he brings. We'll have a couple sophomores starting at receiver. That run really good routes. So defensively, a kid really that proved his worth last year and his stock is rising with regards to recruiting is a kid named Jeremiah Stevens. Jeremiah would play tight end for us and defensive end last year. He caught 7 touchdowns last year for us. We didn't expect that last year from him, that production. And now he's really starting to get his legs under him and understanding what's going on out there. And I think he's going to have an impact for us on both sides of the ball. Caleb Ramirez was an outside receiver for us this year. He's a kid that's going to continue to get better. Our offensive line, we returned both of our tackles, and both of them, Donovan Thibodeau and Jacob Mercer, are really good football players, very smart football players, very physical. So, to answer your question with regards to for next year, who's going to surprise us, it's really going to be some of these young kids that we're going to have to step into some major roles.
Now, you play in a really brutal district. I mean, you've got some names in that district. Fort Bend Marshall always in the discussion as far as state title goes. And then if you want to talk about being in discussion for state title, Port Neches Groves right there last year. Texas City, Nederland. So what do you think you look like? I mean, you made the playoffs last year. What do you think you look like this year versus the competition?
Well, I think that we are going to have the mindset that we're going to the playoffs. It's not a can we or if, or our kids are working with that mindset of we're going back. And you're right, man. Our district, is the thing that I value so much about our district is that there's high level coaching across the board. You look at Coach Williams and those guys at Fort Bend Marshall. Yeah, they got talent, but they coach those kids. There were some things that we caught them early on in the game when we played them that they took away immediately. So they're coaching. It's not them just saying, hey, we got better dudes than you. They coach them, and obviously Coach Joseph and those guys at P&G, wow, what a great run. What an exciting run for them. I look at the game we played against those guys, and we had them beat. Texas City, they had P&G beat. Nederland had P&G beat, and P&G responded and beat all 3 of us and then made that incredible run in the playoffs. But that goes to show you, those Texas City, those guys, Coach Evans and those guys do a great job, and they got a lot of talent. Coach Barrow in Nederland, he has coached a high-level ball for a long time, and, they're going to be back. Santa Fe, Coach Ryder down there, who had an incredible season, it's being 7-3 at Santa Fe, they're going to just get better. So, I mean, every week it's going to be a battle. And that's exciting. And as far as where we fit, if we can stay healthy, if our kids continue to progress based on where we're at right now, I think that we're going to be in the mix. I think that we are definitely going to be in the mix for those top 4 that will go to the playoffs. But again, it is a tough district, and to me, it's an exciting thing that our district is what it is. You have a team like Fort Bend Marshall, who every year they're going to be in the Final Four discussion, and then P&G doing that last year, they have to be in that discussion. And so the talent that's across the board in our district, we're going to have to truly do the things necessary to progress and to get better and to improve. And, I like our kids' mindsets right now. I like where they're at. I like their commitment to what we're doing and their belief in what we're doing.
Now, to kind of take it a little broader, a little more general, of course, Susan Elsa has left the UIL and went to Nebraska. We now have a new UIL athletic director, Ray Zapata. If you could express, and you can, I know you can pick up the phone and talk to him, but if you could express to Ray Zapata what you think the biggest challenge facing athletics and high school athletics in Texas is right now, what would you say that is?
Wow, that is a great question. And there's a lot of folds in that answer. One thing would be officials. I think that there's got to be some accountability to our officiating associations. I'm on the board of the GHFCA, and there's a lot of conversations that are having with regards to playoffs. And officials dictating who's getting what officiating crew and from where. And that's not the way this thing should go. It should be the selection of the coaches. It should be the selection of whenever you're a high school football coach, you make the playoffs, you've earned that right. Well, the same should be said for officials. You get selected to go officiate in the playoffs based on your performance. And so I think that would be one thing that I would want to put in his wheelhouse. Not that he can truly do anything about it, but it's something that somebody important like him needs to understand, that there's a concern out there. I think the other thing is, and I'm trying not to speak too far out of bounds, is, using his office with regards to a lot of these districts going to 4-day weeks. I think that is that works against a lot of extracurricular activities. You have a lot of kids that are counting on those meals on that Friday or that Monday. And you have a lot of kids that don't have transportation if there's practices, or if there's, and that goes down to the junior high. We are, in a constant battle with regards to having kids at practice on time, and so, the 4-day week situation, I just don't think I know that it sounds great. And trust me, if I wasn't involved in extracurricular activities, I'd be for a 3-day week, but when you're involved in these kids' lives and you understand some of their situations more, they need that 5-day week. They need to be with their coaches. They need to be up here at the school. And so that'd be something else that I'd bring up. I mean, there's a ton of things, and, a lot of those discussions are way above my pay grade, but I think that there are certain things that do need to be kind of something that his office is involved in, and I'm excited about him stepping into that role. I think he's going to do a great job. I'm friends with a lot of the coaches in that school district, and they all are very high on him, because I think that he's a kid first guy. That's the only thing I've ever heard about him. And you're an AD of a district the size of their district, Software ISD, and they said he would be at everything. And that says a lot. I think that there are a lot of things, and as well as anybody, the landscape never stops changing. And so our job as coaches is to be adjustable to those changes, whether we like them or not. And but there are definitely some things that I hope that someone like him would consider looking at.
Okay. Now, just one last question, kind of insight into Blake Ware. What is your most guilty pleasure?
Chocolate. Now, my defensive coordinator would tell you cheeseburgers, but he says I eat too many cheeseburgers. But chocolate is definitely that. And the other thing is I can't stop thinking about football. It's a constant for me, even on the weekends. I try to get up early on Saturday and Sunday before my wife gets going, so I can, get on the computer and do work. It's never ending for me, but it's what I love.
Well, Coach, thank you very much for your time today, your insight into the Dayton Broncos program, and best of luck in the upcoming season.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
LoneStarGridiron.com. Access the complete history of Texas high school football, over 100 years of information, win-loss records, coaching histories, individual stats, records, and more. Lone Star Gridiron, the authority on Texas high school football.